Okay, we are live. Hi, everybody. It's so exciting to see everyone here today. I, yeah, we've got quite a few people already here waiting. So glad that you were so excited to see us. Welcome tonight. Um, so today we are talking about something. Actually, I don't think we've ever done a show about this just yet. But
No, I
about
don't think so.
carnivore on a budget. Yeah. So I don't know why we haven't, because I mean, this of course is a topic that's of interest to everyone. I think everyone's interested in spending less money and getting more value.
I know I am. Yeah,
I know I am too.
it was one of my first thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, write in the chat if you are interested in value, good value, and making wise choices at the grocery store. So, why don't we? So, wait, do we have anything to announce? What did we talk about?
Um, well, the thing we just talked about. Do you want to do
Oh,
the
okay, that's
designs?
right. That's right. So, all right, got to turn off the phone beforehand. Um, Before we get started, we are coming up on the holiday season, and as much as I love the holidays, of course, it is a massive pitfall for food and whatnot. So one thing that can be really helpful is to wear your heart on your sleeve, or your identity on your chest. That is to say. We do want to get some t-shirts together, some black carnivore t-shirts, some in honor of Thanksgiving, some in honor of Christmas. It's a little late for Halloween, so we're going to skip that one. But if you have some design ideas, please submit them to me, and we'll do a little contest, and whichever one's best, those are the ones we'll get printed. Or maybe we'll print them all. I don't know. So if you have any ideas, definitely let me know. Email me or DM me on Instagram, and we'll go from there. Okay. And I'm gonna try to come up with some designs myself, so I'm looking forward to it.
And I know some of y'all are really artistic. You have ideas, so please put them to use. I
All
would
right.
love to wear a really good looking black carnivore shirt.
Yes. Yes. I mean, and we commit to wearing them as much as possible on the live streams. We definitely want to wear them. Definitely give us some ideas. Um, Okay, so let's just go ahead and dive right in. So this week's topic, we're talking about carnivore on a budget, and the reason why we're talking about this is, I feel like a lot of people display some hesitancy at starting this way of eating, because they have concerns about the cost of the food, and
Mm.
you know I totally get that, especially if you have a big family and you're buying a lot of food for everybody. It can feel like it's really expensive. And if you look at a ribeye, yeah, it's super expensive. But there's a lot cheaper ways to eat, and you also have to remember what you're not eating. So when I went carnivore, like all the snacks, all the things that I used to nibble on, munch on, all the little extra things, all of that is gone. So all I'm buying is meat. And really try to remind people, like where I live, ground beef is 3.89 a pound, and so is broccoli. I can eat 1 pound of beef and get through a whole day, but I can't eat 1 pound of broccoli and get through a whole day.
Yeah.
So the value, I might still be spending the same amount of money, but the value is so much greater. I can go so much further with a smaller amount. So that's, to me, that's what the value of carnivore is. What do you think, Arian?
I think that's totally true. It Meat has a reputation for being really expensive, and I think per pound that I don't know, maybe that's true compared to carbs, but compared to vegetables, it's really not. And I also think that, yeah, when you are only eating meat and that meat satisfies you, it's definitely not going to take nearly as much money to make a meal. And especially when you're talking about eating, I think most carnivores are 2 meals a day. Some are even one meal a day. Now, that one meal may be really big, but you're not talking about eating 3 squares every day, and each one of those is costing you anywhere from $5 to $10 per meal.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, fruits and vegetables are really expensive.
Yeah.
I like look at that and I think, oh my God. And water even is expensive. I mean, sometimes it costs as much as gas to put gas in your car.
Hmm.
So, I think that it is important to, kind of juggle and think about how you're going to be. Oh, here we go again. I'm always forgetting one thing or another. But figure out how you're going to juggle what you're getting and preserve, the or keep the prices low. So we came up with 6 tips for making carnivore budget friendly.
Hmm.
So you ready?
Yes, I am.
Are you ready? Is everybody ready? Can you um can you give me a thumbs up, a like, or hit the subscribe button if you're ready, or put a thumbs up in the chat? Okay. So first thing that we would recommend is take advantage of sales.
Yes. So important.
So Arian, you're always talking about the manager special. What is a manager special? How do you find that? Where is it?
So, what I find, so the manager special is going to be, well, let's explain that first. Let's just define it. So that's going to be your meat that is, it's been on the shelf a little longer than the other meat. It's getting close to that sell by date. So because of that, they want to get it off the shelf, so they're going to sell it for cheaper. A lot of times where I am, it's going to be marked down by at least like a couple dollars. So a steak that was expensive now is like all of a sudden cheap. It's like $5 a pound, and I'm like, oh, okay, got to get that. Um, just because it's close to the sell by date doesn't mean that it's bad. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to go bad so quickly. There are some stores where it works that way, and other places you can get it close to the sell by date and still eat it, say the next day, and be fine. A lot of times, what I'll do with that food is either just to be safe, I'm either going to cook it right then or I'm going to freeze it pretty much as soon as I get home.
Hmm. So you get meat on the last day and you eat it. But
Yeah.
this is to follow up on our, previous videos where we talk about making sure that your stomach acid is strong enough. I mean, in order for you to really comfortably be able to digest protein, you're gonna have to have, stomach acid that is up there. Um, so you want to take the HCl, or once you've gotten through that process and you've gotten your stomach acid strong, you can eat the iffy meat because we got the burning acid in there. But don't eat the iffy meat in the early days.
Yeah, and I will also especially
And
say,
add a lot of salt when you're eating the iffy meat, because now we understand that salt, helps this acidity of the stomach.
mm,
So, so if you add more salt to the iffy meat, that helps make your stomach even more acidic.
see, that makes it sound like we're gambling with our stomachs every time we buy manager specials. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think that that meat is fine. I think it's definitely different than if you were buying the meat the day it got put out, but I don't know that it's so bad that you gotta like, oh, take these precautions. I do think though that you have to, you may need to be a little more careful with it. It also depends what store you're getting it from, and I think also just use your best judgment while you're buying the meat. Like, don't just walk in and just pick up everything that's on the shelf. Like, if it's turning brown, or especially, you know what I do? If I see any shininess on the meat, like you know how old meat takes that
Mm,
like shiny kind of green, yellow, neon color.
yeah, don't get
If I
that.
if I see any of that, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you definitely need to pay attention, but that's something you need to be doing with all of the meat you buy, not just the manager special stuff.
Yeah, you definitely pay attention. That's always a given. Um, So in other places, like when I'm wandering around or walking places, the supermarkets show, they often show their sales in the windows. And so I just kind of keep my eye out. And if I see a sale somewhere and it looks good, I just go ahead and buy it. You know,
Yeah.
you have a little time to get home before, you get it in the fridge. So if you're just out and about, like, it's okay. So that's another strategy. Getting out of your neighborhood. There are other neighborhoods that are so much cheaper. So, that's an option as well.
Hmm. I
Hmm.
would also say looking at the um, well, no, I don't want to steal the thunder of another point, and I can't remember if this is one of the other ones, so I'm not going to say that.
All right. Well, Mia says Flip app for weekly sales in your area. That's right. There are a whole series of apps that will tell you the cheapest place to buy whatever it is you're looking for each week. So that's also an option.
Yeah, I was using that for a while. I think I stopped because, oh, you know what? It burned me one time. So sometimes it'll show me the ad for a store that's of the same, it's the right chain, but
Hmm.
it's not the local ad. It's a
Oh,
different one.
yeah.
So there have been a couple times I've gone to the store looking for something that was supposed to be on sale and it's just not there at all. And I'm looking around, I look through the entire meat section. They have those like waist high freezers. I go check in there too, and the sales just isn't there at all.
Hmm. Oh,
That's not
man.
fun.
That's really frustrating.
Yeah. So
Um,
be careful with Flip.
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and all the apps. I find like with New York City, so much is different here versus other places. So even when Home Depot is having a sale across the country, they're not here. So I
Hmm.
always expect that these things don't work. Um,
Right.
yeah.
I think I
Uh,
just end up the last time I checked, I just went to everybody's website and checked the sales that way because that was the one way I could know that I was getting local because it I was selecting the store first, like the physical
mhm,
location, and then selecting to look at their ad.
right. Okay. Let's see. So I think was asking, does everyone average a pound of meat a day? So I don't know. Um,
Uh,
I'm hovering around there. I mean, it can be anywhere between 1 and 2 pounds.
yeah, I think today was about two for me. I had no, no, maybe a pound and a half,
Hmm. Okay. So, I mean,
somewhere in
that's
there.
good to know. I do actually like to pay attention to that. Some people don't like to measure at all and just eat, whatever they feel like. But I do like to pay attention to that because I'm thinking about how much money am I going to spend, or how many pounds of meat do I need to buy? Because, when I go to the grocery store, I don't want to buy, I want to buy enough for a whole week. So, thinking about that, that means I need to have, anywhere from 12 to 14 pounds of meat, if, depending on how much I eat in a day. So I have to think about how many, packages of ground beef to pick up and what they actually have. So I actually do pay attention to that. And Arian, I mean, how do you shop? Do you think about that? How much meat do you buy at one time when you go, or?
I pretty much buy as much as is available that won't overflow my freezer. Well, wait, as much as is available at the price that I want that won't overflow the freezer. And I'm trying to get a variety. So, like, I'm not just gonna fill the freezer with chunk roast, for instance.
Oh my
Um,
God. I wish I could. I can't find that much at one time.
and see, I'm gonna want some steaks, so I want to leave space for those kinds of things. So like right now, in my freezer, I have like a whole bunch of ground beef. I'm not buying any more ground beef for a little while, at least probably 2 weeks. I've got like 10 pounds of ground beef in there,
Hmm.
plus like another three that are thawed out in my fridge.
Hmm.
Um, so like now, if there were steaks and the steaks were on sale, there's never going to be a ton of them out at any one time. So I could easily buy like 6 pounds of steak and put those in the freezer, maybe leave one pack out. Um, and probably about the same with roast. Yeah, I'm usually buying multiple pounds at a time. Probably if you took a whole store trip, I could easily see like 7 or 10 pounds.
So you would buy 7 or 10 pounds at one time.
That would be my goal.
Yeah,
If I don't buy that much, it's because the sales weren't good enough.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I have like a price point in my mind that I'm looking for per pound, and so everything that looks, reasonably good and is under that number, I buy.
Hmm.
And then I might buy one or two much more expensive things. But like if I go to Whole Foods and try to get a ribeye, like they're first of all their cuts are
Oh,
pretty big, so I'm looking at like $28 or $30 for each steak.
hmm.
So yeah, so that's a
That's a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that's a big commitment.
There's a
So
reason we call them whole checks.
yeah, yeah. So they're good with the chuck roast, though. I mean, they'll often have a sale and it's 7.99 a pound. So when that's the case, I buy all they have. But who knows when or what these things are.
Hmm.
Okay, I see Andrew Olaf says 67 days strict carnivore. Interestingly, never had any problems with the last 24 hours. Had a lot of gas pain and bowel movements, moderate pain. Wondering if that was bad meat. Yeah,
Uh,
that sounds unusual. So you might just be having a bad day.
hmm. 60. Wow. Yeah.
Hmm. I
A lot of
mean,
gas.
carnivore makes us like super healthy, but it does not make us bulletproof. So can still eat bad meat, can still get a stomach flu, can still get regular flu, can still be killed by a speeding bullet, all the things. So
Right.
so when having an acute problem, it's good to go to the doctor. Um, do what you need to feel better without sugar. No sugar.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder, he's saying strict carnivore. So I guess that if that really is strict, like if that's strict in the way that we define it,
Hmm.
then yeah, my first guess would be you ate something bad,
Hmm.
which just happens sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mia says she's bulletproof.
All right, Mia.
Yeah. All right. So I get to working on that t-shirt design. Bulletproof Mia. I love
Hmm.
it. Um, okay. So let's see. Now the second tip that we have is I hope you all are loving my new graphics. Fall in
She,
love with ground beef. I'm so proud of these graphics.
extremely important.
Yeah.
I think Mia already said that 90% or so of what she's eating is ground beef, and yeah, right on it. Like it's just so easy to, I guess. Well, let's do this. What's your favorite way to do ground beef?
So yeah, I put a post up the other day asking if you ever get bored of repeat meals. So I had a picture of ground beef meatballs and eggs, which I had also eaten the day before for my OMAD. So yeah, I don't know what my dog's doing. Making a lot
Well,
of
I'll say mine. I think it, hmm, I can't decide. I thought I was gonna have a straight answer, and now I feel like I can't decide
noise.
because,
What are you choosing between?
well, for me, there's three main ways. I guess there's other ways to do ground beef, but for me, I've got meatballs, I've got just crumbled ground beef, and I've got hamburgers.
Hmm.
And it was meatballs for a while, and now I feel like it's hamburgers because I've been doing hamburgers for the past week, and I love them.
And you know what's weird is there is a difference. There is a taste difference.
It's huge.
Yeah. I don't know why, but there is a difference. And there's a difference between frying them in the pan and cooking them in the air fryer.
Such a difference. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
I don't have an air fryer, but if I do my meatballs like in the oven, um well, so I feel like meatballs belong in some sort of dry cooking like that versus hamburgers I feel like are best with that direct heat on the stove.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is about doing them in the oven, but it does not turn out right. Maybe they dry out more. Maybe it's because I wasn't adding
Hmm.
the fat back in, which I've now started doing. Like finish the hamburgers and I just take that whole greasy pan and I just pour it over the hamburgers and I let that fat kind of cool just a little bit,
Yeah.
and then I'm breaking pieces of the burgers and swirling them around in the fat, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I like to pour the fat into a little Pyrex jar, one of the little ones that's like this big, and
Mm.
use that as a dipping sauce. And then whatever's left, I can put the plastic lid on and put it in the fridge. But then I have like four or five of them just in the fridge. And then I have to put them all together, cook something with them. But yeah,
So
yeah.
then, do you remember which one is like the older oil
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
the older
I
fat, and
try
which
not
one's
to have too
newer?
many days. I mean, I can remember up to 4 days. I'm not going to remember over that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let's see, Greg Morgan asked, what's the price point that you're looking for? So, I was
That's a
thinking
good
about
question.
when we were when I was thinking about making the thumbnail and what to put on it, I was originally going to be talking about like actual, dollar amounts. But, what's a fair, what's a fair price is so different across the country that, figured that's not actually really useful to talk about that. So, I feel I'm okay in New York spending up to um, $7.99 a pound for the bulk of what I'm eating, and then having these other more expensive things as sort of like treats. So if I see short ribs or flank cut short ribs that are really good looking, but 9.99, 10.99 a pound, then I will buy them. If the oxtails are really good looking, I will buy them at 9.99 a pound. But if they're not so great looking, then I don't.
So I think for me, so I hadn't thought about this before. Um, there's one friend of mine who likes to do. I think she likes to keep hers to about 6 a pound on average, with
Hmm.
of course some things being lower, some things being higher, and C Bliss is right there. She says she keeps her budget at 5 to 6 a pound on average. Like, okay, so I don't know what my average is. I know that I'm not going to buy, like, the reason I don't just buy steak all the time, which I probably would do maybe most of the time, would be it's just too high. I'm just about never going to find good steak for any cheaper than like $7 a pound. And I'm gonna eat, if it's a steak especially, I'm gonna eat probably a pound of it in
Yeah.
one meal. So then I think I try to think about what my average meal cost is going to be. So I try to keep that around $5 or $6 a meal, which allows me to sometimes spend more because some meals are going to be way cheaper. Like if I eat eggs and bacon, and especially the bacon ends, like those are even cheaper than
Oh
buying.
God, those are so good.
Right, right. So it doesn't take much of that, and that's cheap. Eggs are
Hmm.
cheap. That's been a really cheap breakfast.
Yeah.
So then the dinner can be a little more expensive, and those are the only two meals I'm eating today.
Yeah. I see Winged Six Fit has a family of six, so eats ground beef daily. So yeah, that's what would have to happen for that many
Yeah.
people. But like most kids, I mean, as a kid, I loved hamburgers, and when I got to college, well, I did gain the freshman 15. But my first year, I ate a cheeseburger for every meal, between like the first day and I think Christmas break. I went that long before I got bored of eating hamburgers.
Mm.
So of course, it had the cheese, it had the bun, but still, just the burger concept altogether. I just loved a burger, so
Yeah.
totally down with that. Um, and Mia
And
says,
yeah, if you're doing cheese, you can really stretch out burgers.
"Oh
Like
yeah,
eat them for longer because just a different kind of cheese makes it a whole different taste now.
yeah, different kind of pepperoni slice,
Yep.
different kind of prosciutto."
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that reminds me. I need to buy salami and prosciutto again.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so yeah, Jocelyn loves the meatballs in the air fryer too.
Mm.
Yeah, I had that today. Today. So Mio says, let's see, in Newport News, Virginia, ground beef is $2 a pound. The lowest she's seen is $1.47. Jesus.
I
You know,
wish $2 a pound and sometimes $1.47.
jeez. No.
Ah, oh,
I don't, so I don't know where these pockets of places are in America where people are
right.
eating these steaks with like a fat cap this thick, and it's only $8. Yeah, I don't live in those places. I don't know where those places are. They're like little mythological pockets.
Right.
The timeline has had some kind of weird warp where the prices have gone back to 1962. So lucky you. And that if that's the case, you should be just packing and everything up and like ship it somewhere. You could still make money and ship it to somebody.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Johnny G says Asian and ethnic markets can have a good value. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't even put that on our list, but yeah, try going to different types of markets. Um, you-
Yeah, that was the thing that I wanted to say with the last point, but I wasn't sure if it was going to step on another one. But yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, here in Chinatown, you go over there and there's all kinds of animals I don't even recognize. So I feel like it's a little hard to find just beef, but if I wanted octopus, easy.
Mm.
Let's see. Johnny G says put some chickens in your yard. Yeah, yeah. And even in New York, there are people doing that. Yeah. So,
um,
hmm
yeah, so I think overall, I don't know. I would have to do the math to really see what my average is because I really just try to go with the amount of how much a meal is. Like I think I read a study somewhere that like I was really getting into budgeting. So this
hmm
study had said that well, the average American when they cook a home cooked meal would cost somewhere from like $4 to $6 or something,
hmm
and then like eating out is like at least $10 per meal on
hmm
average.
hmm
So I said, okay, well as long as I'm under that 10 and about in that range, I'm good. And I still kind of think on that math,
hmm
and I believe I'm still there.
hmm
But really, probably the easier way to do that math would be to just look at my like how much I spend in a grocery store in a month and then divide it by the number of days and two meals
Yeah,
a day.
yeah, yeah. It's a little bit hard too for me too because I'm buying other things or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. And Johnny G says char them burgers. I love the taste of cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what Saladino thinks you're getting by doing that.
Yeah. Oh my God, Miss M finds ribeyes for 4.99 on sale.
Where's this at?
Yeah, I don't know. It's that weird timeline where this is like an episode from Twilight Zone or Star Trek, where you just somehow back in time.
Oh,
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a struggle for
$5
me.
ribeyes.
Yeah. So, but along with that though, I think about, what are the things that you used to spend a bunch of money on? I mean, I know I used to buy vegetables, like lots of vegetables and fruit, first of all. This was before when I was on SAD. That would sit in the refrigerator and rot. So I know probably each week, that alone was about $30, maybe $35. Because, you pick up some broccoli and you think, oh, okay, a little broccoli. But, it ends up weighing a lot. And then, of course, I didn't eat the stem. So, the actual edible part, well, so the actual edible part is really like $6 a pound instead of, three something a pound. Um, but in any event, I ate none of it, and it would just go bad. I would buy oatmeal. I'd have, crackers sometimes, uh, various kinds of juice. What were some of the things that you used to get regularly?
Well, first off, the stem of the broccoli is edible. It just doesn't taste nearly as good.
It's not. It's not food. My God. Anybody in the chat, tell me, is broccoli stem food? Like we don't even
They
before in the before times that was not food.
it's in the bag. Like when you buy frozen broccoli, you can
I
get the
know. That's why I
broccoli.
don't get frozen broccoli because you mostly get stuff with stem.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
why it's cheaper.
yeah. That's why I don't get it.
But that doesn't mean it's not edible.
There's like
But
four florets and then a little mostly stem.
right. Um I like to call the florets the because broccoli basically looks like trees. So the florets are like the leaf part, the canopy.
Yeah, they're the tree part. And then the stalk is the trunk. I
Oh,
don't want trunk. You don't need
what
trunk.
just happened? Do you still see me?
I still see you.
Okay, my computer did something. Here we go again. I don't know what's
Oh,
going
here we
on.
go.
Yeah, so it's not that the broccoli's fun to eat, but it's possible to eat it. So yeah, I was buying broccoli. I used to spend a ton of money on fruit. So
Uh-huh.
I have found not farmers markets, but like produce markets close by. So um, I'd get blueberries and apples and apples, and like some local honey from like Pennsylvania or Western Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, what just happened? Okay, we're still fine. Sorry, computer. So I
So
spent a
you're
lot of.
still frozen for me.
Oh, I am frozen.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're still frozen.
Huh? Because it looks fine in Skype.
Does it? You look frozen to me in Skype.
Oh, crap! Now I'm missing altogether.
Oh my
No,
God.
no, there I am.
Mickey B, where is he?
All right, let me turn off.
Okay, so anyway, let's see. I see Greg asked about using fasting along the way with carnivore as a way to stretch the budget. I actually think that is a very possible idea, but I wouldn't want anyone to feel like they had to do that in order to make it work. So I would say, don't rely on fasting to save money unless you're a bit more experienced and you're sort of comfortable with fasting. You should eat as often as you need to eat. That being said, when lean times come, yeah, fasting does save the money. um, oh my God, ZZ Captain says one guy in Canada eats pigeons he has caged in his yard. So that is something else. Um,
Am I back?
okay. Uh, yes. Yes, there we go. You
Is
are back.
back?
Yes, you are back.
Okay.
Okay, so we were talking about ZZ Captain. There's a guy in Canada eating pigeons. So pigeons are, I would imagine, super lean. So
Yeah,
not your best choice.
doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
So okay. Um, all right, and let's see.
What were we talking about before my Skype crapped out?
I can't even remember. If you all remember, put it in the chat.
All right. So we were complaining about ribeyes, and now I remember who Miss M is, and I'm still annoyed at you and the prices out there.
Yeah.
Uh, um, yeah, I don't remember. Oh, you're asking me what I buy, what I used to spend all the money on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the meat was cheap. It was all the other stuff. Like I could find, especially I was eating chicken and pork then, like way more often. So I'd buy whole chickens and get those for anywhere from a lot of times they'd be less than $1 a pound, or like at most maybe a dollar like 19 a pound for a whole chicken. And I would buy pork chops a lot. I'd get the assorted pork chops, so those were cheaper. And I would get pork ribs, and I think the cheapest I could get spare ribs was like somewhere from 220 to
Wait, that
250 a
was what
pound.
you were buying before you went keto or carnivore?
Well, yeah, before carnivore, I was like half keto.
Uh,
Um, so then, like, my point was the meat was cheap, and it was the vegetables and the fruit that I was spending so much money on.
uh-huh. Sorry, I was
Um,
just reading one of the comments.
oh,
Fun.
geez, what's this one?
Bayet says, so sad. Open a bag of broccoli and all you get is broccoli shake, stems and seeds. That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah, if you can get that on a t-shirt, there's got to be a way to do something with that. I'm gonna work on that language.
Yeah,
Okay, but sorry, go
yeah, we need a good pun for that one.
ahead.
Um, so yeah, like all the vegetables. It was a lot of broccoli, a lot of green beans. Um, I think those were my main two. I never got into like the exotic veg. Oh my, it just did it again.
Oh, yes. It's gonna be fun tonight. Um,
Clearly, Skype just does not want to work with me. Or really, actually, it might not even be Skype. It might be my internet again.
um, yeah. So, yeah, Greg Morin says I find eating meat is cheaper than fast food. $10 a day will buy some nice meat products. Yeah, a fast food is not cheap. I don't know, maybe it used to be, but it has not been cheap in quite some time. So when people keep talking about eating cheap food, I'm like, stop talking about McDonald's. I mean, you get a meal and that's already $10. That's one meal.
Yeah, I feel like it used to be cheap. Like I remember being in college and it was really easy to eat at McDonald's and get a whole meal for less than $3, $4, or like right at that. Like especially when the dollar menu came out, like that was perfect.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I can get like two little hamburgers and fries and a drink all for $4, and like
Hmm.
I'm set.
Yeah.
But like now, um, the dollar menu in most places have gone up. They don't call it that anymore because nothing on it is actually $1. And to get an actual like a meal, you're spending at least $8, $9 most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's like it's crazy. So that's not cheap food. So yeah, anything in the supermarket is going to be a cheaper option.
Yeah.
Um, so Angie Life says my mother, who grew up in 1930s, 1940s Washington Heights in Manhattan, used to eat pigeons her father kept in a coop on the roof. Love it, love it. So hunting in the city, in the wild. Um,
I cannot. Pigeons just sounds like rabbit starvation, and
well,
I'm
Johnny
not.
G says New York City is full of pigeons and rats. No.
I mean, if you really needed something and you couldn't figure out what you were gonna do, yeah, that could work.
I
Not for me
think that you
though.
should find other things to do.
I definitely would.
Yeah. So one of my friends who hunts, he really likes squirrel. Like that's his jam. That's the meal that he most
Really?
enjoys. Yeah. I was like, really? Like, really? Yeah.
Squirrel?
Hmm.
Squirrel just feels like, I think, I don't know if it was here or in a Zoom where we complained about like crab and how much work it takes to eat crab. I feel like squirrels are basically the same way. Like you would do all that work to get at like not even a half pound of meat. I gotta this thing has so much fur on it that I have to scrape off somehow or however you do it. I'm not a hunter, never been hunting. But I gotta get all that fur off and then get all the skin off. Or you eat the skin, but then you really gotta get all the fur off. All for like this tiny, tiny bit of meat. And
Yeah.
probably no fat.
Yeah. Yeah. You're frozen again.
Oh, lovely.
But I could
This
take you off and then you can just talk if you feel like this is going to keep happening.
Wait a minute. So the sound is still working. It's
Yeah,
just the video that's not.
that's right.
Okay. Um and if I turn and see the last time Skype just straight up froze when I just turned my video off. So I'm kind of scared to do that again. But I don't know what else to do.
I don't know. So Wing Six Fit says my four kids want to be full carnivore, but with them being so young, I still have them eat some veggies. My kids are 18, 16, 12, and 10. Yeah, that's an interesting question. You know, if I had my druthers, I think I would have. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have been ready to give up cake and candy. But if I were told I didn't have to eat vegetables, I absolutely 100% would have been like, yeah, carnivore, all in.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I feel that I would have been better off had I done that, but who knows? Chase says
So
the vegans are messing with our internet access. That's exactly what's happening. You are absolutely right. Yeah, we should make a T-shirt. It's the vegans. Yeah.
now that's gonna be a shirt I'm not wearing.
The vegans made me do it.
I Vegans are already angry enough a lot of times. I don't need to make them more angry and directed at me.
Yeah, yeah. Angie says pigeons, rats, parts is parts. An interesting thing that I learned is that in New York, all right, I'm just gonna give do this. So in New York, the rat population, of course, eats whatever people throw out, and because of the nature of what we eat, there is an epidemic of diabetes in the rat community. And I thought that was so crazy. Like, humans have trouble with diabetes, but rats now are having trouble with diabetes, and just because of the food that we're leaving out, and that's what they're eating. So, good to know that like there's no animal population that can survive on the stuff that we're trying to survive on. Um, so let's see. Yeah, Siebelis mentions that Joe and Charlene Anderson had a carnivore household, and they've got a lot of they got a lot of flack for feeding their kids that way. But I don't see that as being I mean, it's definitely better than a lot of what kids eat today. So Romeo, her dad used to hunt and cook squirrels, tiny legs. Yeah. Well, but it's food. Yeah. Um, yeah. Um, Miss M, squirrels are so cute and tiny. Yeah. 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 But we have to eat. Um, let's see. And then Wing Six says, our doctor says how we are the most healthy family she sees, and we eat mostly meat and a small amount of veggies. I let the kids have sweets like every once in a couple of months. That's great. I mean, that's awesome that your doctor recognizes your health. Like that's the most important part. So, that's what matters. Okay, I think we got it. We got it. Yes.
Now, the question is, will it stay?
Don't ask questions like that. Are you kidding? You're just tempting fate. Just enjoy the moment. You're here.
Okay, all
You're
right.
here. Um,
Sorry
okay.
about all this. I don't know what's going on because
Yeah.
I checked my internet. It's actually decent.
Angie Life says, so rats come in pizza and donut flavors? Yes, they do.
What? What did I
Uh,
miss?
I was saying that in New York, the rat population, because they're eating the food that we throw out, have an epidemic of diabetes in the rat population. Yeah. So they're eating so much of that junk food that they too are suffering. So anyway,
That's
um,
awful.
yeah. Um, so and then Chase says, "I'll wear the t-shirt." He's talking about the vegans made me do it t-shirt.
Mhm.
Besides, I conceal carry, and 99% of vegans in Georgia are anti-gun. Oh no, oh no, 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 don't do that. Okay, so
Wow. We do
fall.
not advocate.
So what? I don't, did we finish talking about what are our top ways to cook ground beef? Another way that I did was to make like a giant meatloaf, but make it really, really dry and slice it very thin and use it like toast points to smear pate on.
Hmm.
And then some people make pizza, right?
Hmm. So that's one. Are there any others? I can't think of any. I just do the basic ways.
Hmm. Um, yeah, the crumbles, well, I do like meatloaf.
Oh yeah, I haven't. I keep saying I'm gonna do meatloaf and then I don't do it.
Yeah, I like it.
Even
And
though
then,
as a carnivore, isn't meatloaf just really just the ground beef and the pan?
well, depending on, what you do, like you can I've mixed in pork rind crumbles, I've mixed in an egg, you can mix in spices, bacon, um, so there is definitely some variety that you can
Mm.
do. And didn't we just talk like in the last stream we talked about stuffing ground beef with sausage or hot dogs or something? Did we
Yeah,
just talk about this?
yeah. Because I had the bad ground. I had the bad meatloaf from a restaurant that
Right, right,
supposedly
right,
was
right.
sausage stuff, and it
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
It didn't taste good. The sausage was bland, and also it made me sick.
Um,
So it was just everything wrong.
yeah, yeah. But I was saying that it might be interesting to like put a sausage in the middle of ground beef, like in the middle of the meatloaf. So that might be interesting. And then I've seen people make what do they call them? Scotch eggs, where the hard-boiled egg is baked inside the no, well, the previously hard-boiled egg is then covered in ground beef and
Mm.
cooked. So, yeah. Seabliss, help me out here. You know all these food things. First of all, Chase asks for a good pizza recipe, which I know you just posted something like that in Facebook. And then, yeah, how to do the Scotch eggs if you've ever done those. That's a good one to do as well.
Hmm.
Um,
And see, so now the thought of bacon with meatloaf makes me think of making a really basic like carnivore lasagna where the bacon serves as the noodles.
Ooh, I like it. I
I can
like
see
it.
that being good.
Yeah. All right. Um, so let's move on to number three. Okay. Be open to other cuts, organs, or meats.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know about how it is for you, but I know for me, down here in Baltimore, I can get I think liver and heart and kidney are somewhere from like 250 a pound to 350 a pound
Mm-hmm.
versus everything else is going to be higher than that. I think the cheapest I can get anything else is $4 a pound, and that's like, well, besides on sale, some you'll see ground beef on sale maybe for $3 a pound, but normally that's about four for the fattiest ground beef. And every once in a while, I'll see like chuck roast for that price, but
Mm-hmm.
everything else is higher. So if you're trying to stretch a budget, liver, heart, kidney, whatever other organs or other kinds of meat you like eating, definitely do it. Also, pork over beef. Pork is always cheaper for me. And
Mm-hmm.
what was the other one? Oh, you said other kinds of meat. For me, that doesn't end up being cheaper. I wish it did. Um, like pork ends up cheaper, and but like all the other kinds of animals, like bison and stuff like that, are always more expensive.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I find chicken thighs can be reasonably cheap, especially if
Yeah.
I'm comfortable having Purdue, which I'm
Hmm.
not always comfortable doing. So there is that. But goat, depending on where I am, can be more cost effective.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but it's pretty much pork that's going to be the cheapest.
Yeah. Pork's gonna be cheap, and you're right. Chicken's gonna be cheap.
Sometimes, not always. The chicken breast is always like more expensive than beef, but
It's
chicken,
it's more expensive than it deserves to be.
that's true. I 100% agree.
It's the worst part of the chicken, and it costs the most.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But
yeah.
and I think the other part of this point was the cuts of meat, which
Hmm.
definitely get to be a thing. I didn't start eating chuck roast until going carnivore, and that has made a huge difference.
Hmm. You didn't eat chuck roast before carnivore?
Yeah, it just wasn't a thing that I grew up eating, and so I didn't really know about it. Like I
Uh-huh.
think the roast that we had all the time, like my mom may make like pot roast or something.
Uh-huh.
Um, if it was beef, it was probably always a top or bottom round.
That is also cheaper.
Yeah.
But chuck roast is also often pretty cheap as well. Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I see that so like chuck roast may be like 450 or 550 a pound on one hand, and then on the other hand, the round roasts are somewhere around like $4 a pound. So definitely cheaper, but I'm gonna eat more of that round roast because it's so lean,
Hmm.
and I'm not gonna enjoy it as much. So I just spend more and get the chuck roast, and I don't. I feel like it lasts longer because it has that fat in it that's more satisfying.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just prefer the chuck roast. I've had the bottom round. I feel like it just ends up being tough and dry, and I haven't figured out a way to cook it so that it's not tough and dry. So, that's my complaint about it.
Yeah, I think even if you were to slow cook it, where like it's staying in moisture the whole time and there's no moisture escaping, it'll
Hmm.
be way more tender,
Hmm.
but and way more moist. It's still not going to taste good though because there's no fat in the between the meat fibers.
Hmm.
So what I find with those is like you have to make a gravy, and that gravy is what makes it edible.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Seablood says she can get chicken breast for $1.99 a pound. I don't know. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked for chicken breast in so long. I don't even know what it costs anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So could be very possible. She gets goat from the Amish market for $6 a pound. I didn't. I don't know if the Amish market by me has goat. I don't remember seeing goat, but I didn't look really hard. I kind of just looked at the beef section and then moved on.
Um, hmm. Now, Greg says he can smoke ground beef um, and uses 70% meat, 30% fat.
Hmm.
I am eager to get a smoker. Mm.
I never thought to slow cook ground beef, especially
Yeah.
smoking.
Well, somebody told me that they had dehydrated ground beef, which had never occurred to me, and just made these little sort of dehydrated crumbles. Never occurred
I've
to me.
I've seen people talk about, well, I've seen recipes for jerky out of ground beef. Like you just cook the mess out of it and then or is it, I think you don't cook it first. You put it in this thing, this like extruder that makes it into the shape that you want first, and then you cook it. Like yeah, yeah, the things that you use for cake frosting.
Uh-huh.
Except it's like a just a rectangle shape.
Uh-huh.
And you push the ground beef through that, and then I think you cook it because I don't think you'd be able to get it into the shape you want after you cook it.
Huh. I'm gonna do
But
some investigation on this because I do like my jerky. I enjoy that type of food.
mhm.
Um, okay, so Abigail says the coolest cuts that she has now tried: beef cheeks, tongue, heart, eye steaks, lamb breast, and pork ribeye. So,
Mm,
hey, awesome.
that sounds great.
Beef cheeks are nice and fatty. Tongue is also very fatty. Hearts can be pretty lean, but it's good for you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Pork ribeye, I love those. I think that's a cut called pork copa. It's the ribeye version in a pig and delicious. Love it.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And then eye steak, I assume that means like eye of round, not actual eyeball.
Yeah. I assume she's not eating eyeballs.
Right.
That's a
I
delicacy.
think that would have a different name.
Maybe, maybe.
So yeah, eye steaks
Up
I
to
can't
you.
do. Um, I've tried those before and I couldn't find any way to cook them that came out decent.
Yeah. So, well, that brings us on to our next
Oh,
meat.
she means chuck eye. Yep. Chuck eye is great.
Oh, chuck eye. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and then yeah, organs is another option. So if you look at organs like liver and heart are just way cheaper per pound. Even the
Hmm.
most expensive ones are still cheaper than most meats. So if you can, stomach, liver,
Yeah.
and heart, you should absolutely be leaning on those. Those can be really helpful.
Yeah. And I guess this is as good a time as any. So do you have a video for making pate?
I think it's in my Instagram in IGTV. So I'm gonna have to make a real video where I do it. But I tell everybody it's super super easy. I take
Yeah.
a pound of meat. I cook it of the liver. I just cook it, a bit. It doesn't have to be cooked to death. And then take a pound of fat, and that can be all tallow. It can be part tallow, part lard, part butter, whatever, however you want to mix it up. I would recommend, at least half tallow because it gets too soft when it's made solely of butter. It just it falls apart too easily, especially if you put it on top of something hot. Um, so I put it in the food processor and I just mix it up, and I just keep mixing until it gets to the texture I want. I was adding onion powder. Now I will not, since I'm doing, spice free. But I was adding onion powder, and then you can add whatever you want, and salt, of course, salt. What am I
Yeah.
saying? Salt.
Has to have salt.
Yeah, a lot. Um, I think I might do a tablespoon for a pound. I start there and then I, keep testing to see how I like it.
Hmm.
So the more fat you put, the more mild the whole thing tastes, and the more salt. And then what I was saying before is that I cook the meatloaf into a loaf inside the air fryer, and then I slice it up and use the thin slices of meatloaf like bread, like toast points, and then I smear the pate on it. That's one way to
Hmm.
use it. Yeah. So if you
Okay.
like that, hit the like button, subscribe, or click the little bell icon, or give us a super chat, or a super sticker. That was a
Right.
good idea. How do you substitute toast points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I've never heard of toast points, but I assume they're just like really thin
Well,
pieces of
like
bread as
Melba
opposed to.
toast, or crackers or whatever. I mean, whatever you put, pate on.
Right. Yeah, not a life that I've lived before going carnivore. I don't think I knew what pate was before going carnivore. So all this is
Yeah,
new to me. But
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's a decent idea. And I do have all that ground beef. I made burgers. I made enough burgers for tomorrow, but I may try the
Hmm.
really, really dry meatloaf because I have a bunch of pate now that I think because you said you were gonna your next time doing it was gonna be without onion powder. I wanted to see, oh, so can I do that? Like, could I live with pate without onion powder? And
I don't know.
it's
I'm
not
not
as
sure
good.
I can. It's not
It's
as good.
I'll tell you that it's not as good.
Yeah, onion is pretty magical. It does something to like ease and mellow out that liver flavor.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so what I've been doing is just eating it maybe like a tablespoon or two at a time,
Hmm.
so that the flavor doesn't bother me too much because it's just kind of bland without the onion powder. And I think that also might be. So I didn't use onion powder and I used much more fat than I normally do.
Hmm.
So it almost, I almost wish it had more liver flavor,
Mm.
if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah,
Because
no, it
normally I
does.
hate liver, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'd want a little more.
yeah. Um, well, let's see. Angie Life says I've seen a carnivore recipe for squeezing ground chicken through a pastry frosting bag to make spaghetti. So that's kind of interesting
Hmm.
what shapes these meats can be put into. So that's an
Yeah,
option.
that makes sense though.
Um, and Greg is talking about a jerky gun.
Yeah,
So okay, what?
that's what the thing was called. I don't know how it works or what it looks like. I imagine it probably looks like a caulk gun,
Hmm.
except it's got a flat nozzle instead of the little pinpoint.
Hmm. So what? You just squirt it out, and it's like a little postage stamp size square of meat.
Oh no, it's like you're making like a log of meat. So it's like a rectangular log
Oh,
with
like the size of a stick of Trident gum, or a stick
uh
of Orbit gum, or all the way to Juicy Fruit.
let's see, how big was it? I'm looking for a good analogy. It All right. Can you see this flash drive?
Yes.
Okay, so like a little less wide than this, so maybe like to here.
Uh-huh.
And but it's not just like you're not shooting out like you're not like making punches. It's like a line, a continuous line of meat.
You gotta move the thing in front of your face. You're cut off. Your
Well,
edges are cut off, remember,
I
in the
wasn't looking at what I
broadcast.
was.
There you go.
All right,
Better.
so it's like imagine this,
No,
and it's
over.
going.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah,
There.
yeah, and it's
There.
going all the way across. So like it's a log of meat that's rectangular shaped. Does that make sense?
No, but I believe you. And I'm
I
sure
don't.
everybody else gets it.
I don't know how I'm explaining this wrong.
I don't know. Is it a stamp of meat the size of a USB thumb drive? I can,
Well, well,
create
see,
something like that.
you're imagining. All right, so but imagine that stamp doesn't end. So from one end, you look at it and it's a stamp, and then like you go above it and you see that it's long. It doesn't just stop after an inch. It's like 20 inches long or something.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I think we got it.
Yeah,
So
so a long strip of beef, ground
yes,
beef. Okay.
exactly.
So
And they
why
make that
couldn't
out
you
of.
do that with your hands? I mean, I guess that would be sort of a pain to do, but
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. But yeah, when I saw people talk about, well, I saw these recipes for like the ground beef jerky. They were talking about using this jerky gun for some reason. Probably, yeah, because it's easier, and maybe they want it to be uniform or something.
hmm, sorry. Um, okay. So, and then I see, let's see, Andrew Life used to make a carnivore bread. I never made that carnivore bread. Did you?
No, it had the baking powder in it, and I didn't want to use that. And kind of a lot of that stuff, a lot of the replacements like sound cool, but then they end up being more work than I feel like doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like,
there is that. A lot of things end up being more work than you feel like doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm a little lazy with my cooking. I just want to. I love carnivore because it's simple. I just need to know how to cook meat. And a
Yeah.
lot of times that is even like it's just meat and salt. Like the hamburgers today, I made patties, cook
Hmm.
one side. When I turn it over, I salt that side because I don't want to salt the pan. And then when I put it on the plate, when it's done, I turn it back over, salt the other side. I am done.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to think really hard.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So, Angie Life has another great idea. Man, you are just, 10 for 10 tonight. Just coming up with great ideas and great comments. So, she makes deviled eggs with a dozen hard-boiled eggs and 4 ounces of sautéed chicken liver, puts the yolks and I think the chicken liver in a blender
I
and
think so.
seasons it to taste, and it kills that liver taste. That is a killer idea. Never even thought about that. But yeah, that would be
Hmm.
definitely a way to do it.
So then if you can do that, then you can make a pate out of the liver and egg yolks.
Hmm. That's a thought. That's
Yeah.
definitely a thought.
Yeah. I will definitely say with pate, I feel like at least some of it needs to be butter to add a different flavor to it.
Mm.
I like it better. The second to last time I made it was with ghee, and I like that a lot.
Hmm.
It was like
Yeah.
probably I think like half ghee and half uh, bacon grease.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to use algae, and I have done that. I just find that it just doesn't hold its shape. It melts too easily. So.
And is that like even in the refrigerator? It's doing that.
No, not in the refrigerator, but if I like scoop it out and put some things on top of a hamburger, like, I turn around to get a fork and it's a big puddle on the plate.
Oh,
So if I use tallow, which is harder, and it takes longer to melt, it would still be on top of the burger.
hmm.
So, I'm not trying to make a like a liver dipping sauce. I'm trying to, have like, my special sauce on top.
Right. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So that's why. That's the only reason why. But yeah, using some portion butter or ghee gives it a really nice flavor.
Hmm.
So Greg Morgan says there's a video where a guy uses this two paint sticks and he rolls out the hamburger without the jerky gun. I could see how you would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna play around with these things. I'm gonna make some hamburger jerky, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'm definitely not gonna do that paint strip thing because I've got a round, air fryer dehydrator. So it's gonna have to be like little dollops of like. I was thinking making them the size of like chocolate chips.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. Like, whatever size is going to work. Like, as long as it's practical. Like, the only reason we don't make hamburgers that are as big as pans is because we have to flip that thing at some point, and that's the tough part.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, so yeah, we talked about organs, different cuts of meat, leaning into pate, that's great.
Mhm.
And in terms of the fat, it doesn't have to be that expensive. Arian has turned to making soap with all of his excess fat, but you can also make pate. It's
Right.
another use. And I would
And
freeze it because I find like a little goes a long way and I might be in the mood for it and then, I have it a couple of times and then I'm not in the mood for it again. Yet I still have like 2 pounds of, you know, pate left.
and see, yeah, I'm not making that much at a time. Like, I have these. I've been buying this liver, calf liver. It comes in a pack where it's already sliced, and it's a 1 pound pack. So I
Hmm.
figure each slice is about a quarter pound. So I'm only making,
Hmm.
I guess, that plus the fat, maybe like a half pound of pate at a time.
Hmm.
And then I just, whenever I think about it, if I look in the fridge and I see it, then I'll scoop out some and eat it right then.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so my um, food processor is big, so I can't just make a quarter pound of liver. It's just not going to work. So I kind of have to
Yeah.
do a larger amount. Plus, it's a pain to clean up the food processor. So, like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And is saying
Wow.
the same thing, that you can freeze it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the smart thing to do. Even if you were to like break it up into smaller containers
Yeah.
and freeze those so that you're only taking out one at a time, and maybe that you can leave out for a few days.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to our next one. What is it? What is it?
Number 4.
Buy in bulk, direct from the farm.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of our own, Virginia, actually ordered a whole pig and a whole cow. I don't know if she's gotten the cow yet, but the pig she got one pig, and it was 214 pounds of meat that it produced.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I don't know why everyone was saying to me. I was kind of surprised that one person would get one whole pig and one whole cow because that's got to be 2 years worth of food. But no one else seemed to agree with me. But yeah, if that cow produces like 700 pounds and you got 200 pounds, that's 2 years, 2 solid years of food.
Yeah. I could easily see that being a lot of food, especially like if you're not entertaining at any point, you're never cooking for other people, then
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
that could last and last.
yeah. Well, but it's interesting. So I'll be curious to see, what kind of things she makes. She'll get there used to be, I feel like when I was a kid, bacon was made of a lot of different things, and there was beef bacon made from the belly of the cow, and there was pork bacon made from the belly of the pork, but there was also cheek or jowl bacon that was made from the cheek of either animal. Both are pretty fatty.
Hmm.
So, there were other ways or other cuts that were made into bacon. And now none of that's available. I never see that anywhere.
Yeah. It's so hard finding really kind of any of the weird cuts of meat. Like, even just finding beef bacon, I've looked in regular grocery stores. Can't find it.
It's not anywhere. But that used to be commonplace when I was a kid. So I don't
That
know what's up with that.
yeah, that's frustrating. So like I spend it's like $8 or $9 a pound at the Amish market, and I just go ahead and spend that and just try to
Hmm.
uh, break it out because it's really really good, but
Hmm.
I can't be eating that all the time like I want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
And
Virginia found, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and cheeks, like I would love to taste
Mhm.
cheeks. I don't know where to get them from.
So I have gotten them in the deli compartment, I mean, in the deli area, where it's called guanciale or something in
Mm,
Italian. Um,
okay.
and it's just like the cheek, and it's just so fatty.
Mm,
It's spiced though, and it's treated the way like any um, deli meats are. So it's not something you want to eat a ton of, I think. But
yeah.
but it's a way to get started and try something different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that just at Italian delis, or is that
Well, I don't
in
know. I
regular
mean, I'm in New
stores?
York, so it's commonplace to find these things, but I don't know about the rest of the country. But wherever you buy your prosciutto, your pancetta, your salami, or your fancy pepperoni, not the stuff that from Hormel, that's where you'll find the guanciale, guanciale or something like that. Um, so that's a thought. Now, when Virginia said when she bought her meat, it was the pig came out to about $4 a pound, she said.
Mm, good stuff.
Abigail found beef cheeks at Walmart, so
Really? See, all right. I need to check. So the Walmart that's closest to me is not a super Walmart, so they have a really bad grocery section.
that's not the place to judge.
No, no, I need to
Yeah,
check out the good Walmart, the big one.
yeah. And Seabliss says there's a butcher in Catonsville that can supply it for you.
Hmm. Wouldn't really enjoy driving all the way to Gainesville, but yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Um, Capicola, is that it? I feel like there was a different word
I
for
thought
that.
capicola was that pork ribeye.
Copa. Yes, I think that one is the pork ribeye, but now you got me wanting to check this, um, which I really shouldn't be doing. Um, and Seabliss is seeing cow tongue at Walmart. My goodness, the Walmart has everything.
All right, I gotta check Walmart.
And you've got a car. Like, what is the problem?
Well, I just, you know what? I forget that there are other Walmarts that have better grocery sections than the one close to me.
Yeah, guanciale is an Italian cured meat product prepared from pork jowls or cheeks. Its name is derived from guancia, the Italian word for cheek. So there you go.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting words for. I mean, there's a lot of cured Italian meats that are available. That I mean, we've done salami and bologna, but there's way more.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I remember at one point like discovering salami when I was little because all we had up until then was bologna
Hmm.
and well bologna and pepperoni and then figuring out oh there's this other thing that is really really good
Yeah.
and like 10 years later discover prosciutto and I'm like
Hmm.
no one
Yeah.
told me about this stuff.
Yeah. I know. When I first went to Italy, it was like, wow, like bologna is not a food, it's a place. And this is the place from whence bologna came. And so many of the foods that we eat, the different kinds of cheeses and stuff, they're all from specific places. Like that's their
Hmm.
name.
Right, yeah.
So, Yeah, so it's weird to go. I went to Bologna and it was like, oh, and of course everybody's, I mean, that's a common thing to eat.
So, did you have bologna there, and was it as magical as it should be coming from the place that makes it?
Yes and no. So I had
Oh,
it on a pizza. But pizza in Italy
huh.
is not like pizza here. We have a different conception of pizza, and I was going with the American conception of pizza, so it was kind of like, what's this? So it was kind of like a small round thing of bread with like a dollop of or two or three dollops of mozzarella on it, but not a lot. I don't even think there was sauce on it,
Hmm.
or maybe a tiny bit of sauce, and then there was like a slice of bologna in the middle of it, and then they cut it into four, and that was kind of it.
Really?
So yeah, pizza is not like it is here, which it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, just about no sauce. And so, I've seen the like, I think here they call them like marguerite pizzas,
Hmm.
where it's just a like real thick slice of mozzarella in a few places on the pizza. And I always look at it and I figure like, I bet that's how they really make them. And
Yeah,
we Americans bastardized it and we turned it into something that is not at all like what pizza was supposed to be.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So pizza, as I think I read this, that pizza as we know it today was invented in New Haven, Connecticut, like in the 60s or something, or the 70s.
What?
But what we have is just has so little resemblance to what they sell as pizza in Italy that, I don't know. So, yeah. But
Hmm.
I never really liked bread that much, so I was not too impressed with the pizza because it was like it's mostly bread and a small amount of cheese and a small amount of whatever other meat you're asking for.
Oh yeah. Like at that point, if you're talking about there's not much sauce, there's not much cheese, and you've got this one slice of bologna in the middle that's being cut between the slices.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's mostly bread. That would annoy me.
Hmm. Yeah.
And there we go.
So,
I'm gonna
yeah.
freeze at some point.
Oh, you did freeze. How did you know?
Because so my screen flashes like black as if the
Uh-huh.
computer just crashed,
Uh-huh.
and then this happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So I wonder.
yeah. You want to call back in or
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can just end.
um so and here he comes. Yay. So well we're going to move on to the next one while we wait for Arian to come back. Yeah, Melissa, I never really did like bread. I, was born to be a carnivore, I think. If I weren't captured by candy, sweets, and chocolate, I, would otherwise be a carnivore. Okay, so let's move on though, and we're gonna talk about the next issue is here we go. All right, number five. Here we go. We've slowed down, so we're gonna try to speed up again,
Okay.
um, so that we stay on track. Um, let's see. Bayed asked if you've got enough RAM.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
the RAM's fine. Um, my computer is doing much harder stuff a lot of times than running Skype,
Yeah,
and I just upgraded.
yeah. Um, okay, so we're talking about supplementing with fat to reduce protein needs. So that's another thing that's a really, really big deal that I don't think gets enough focus. So fat will fill you up and fill you up for a long time. And protein, while we need protein, we don't need that much of it. So, if as long as you're getting like a minimum amount for your height, your weight, and your activity level, you don't need a whole lot more than that. And you can fill out your calorie needs with fat. Do you have?
Yeah. I This is a thing that I have come to realize. So I've been carnivore 2 years and change now, and I feel like I just started figuring this out like really recently.
Hmm.
It was not a thing that I thought about, and then at some point I realized that I wanted more fat,
Hmm.
and um, so people had already been talking about beef trimmings. I'd seen a ton of people talk about it, and I thought, okay, I should try that. Um, the liver pate was another thing. I'm like, oh, that's like mostly fat.
Hmm.
And I thought about the fact that I like chuck roast better than other kinds of roast, and I like ribeyes better than any other steak, hands down.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, the common factor in all this stuff is fat.
Hmm.
Maybe I should try just as an experiment to eat more. And then as soon as I started trying it, I really craved it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and it's been huge. Like the amount that I ate today, um, it wouldn't have been as satisfying and it would have been more. I would have needed more if I had just eaten lean.
Right.
But
So that's
like,
a good point. You actually need to eat more. You might eat 2 pounds of beef rather than one if you're eating really lean beef.
yeah. So you and I had talked about this recently. We watched this video, this lecture from Amber O'Hearn about humans and how our digestive system is actually built to process fat than um, more fat than protein.
Hmm.
Like a lot of carnivore animals can eat protein and get everything they need from it. We, on the other hand, we need more. We need more fat.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I definitely feel like I eat less. Um, I eat less when I'm eating fat. I'm happier when I eat fat. Like putting trimmings into my eggs is a thing I've been doing for the past couple days. I love that. Just eating the trimmings along with a steak feels great. Just and then pouring the fat from the hamburgers over them, like that's what we're built for.
Yeah. Now, I am okay with eating rendered fat. It doesn't upset my stomach at this point, but I prefer to eat solid fat. So if I have the option, I would prefer to eat the crispy edges of the steak and the fat cap.
Hmm.
So, but that I have a hard time getting my hands on. So, eating the rendered fat is important, and I definitely do that. And I probably could introduce more and like use tallow or butter and stuff like that. So, but I just don't find that quite as palatable. I mean, it's okay, but it's just not as delightful. But I was thinking today how, I have, when I've had beef fat trimmings, I've gotten them fried up and like eaten a bowl of that and then gone in and eaten lean, which is what they say, Amber O'Hearn and others who do the, keto AF, or that's what they talk about doing, is eating the fat first until you're satisfied and then eat a little protein.
Yeah, that actually. So a lot of those really old school carnivores follow the example of this the bear dude,
Hmm.
Owsley the bear. I forget his last
Hmm.
name, but um, he was a longtime carnivore and he advocated eating that way.
Hmm.
Start with the fat, eat all the fat that you want off of a steak or whatever meat that you're eating, and then eat the lean.
Yeah. But now there's, like that just doesn't work enough for me. And I feel like maybe what the problem is that the rendered fat, it takes a while for it to make its way through my system to tell my brain I'm full. But like eating a beef fat trimming or like an actual piece, like as it hits my stomach, it's like, oh yes, you're full. Like I fill up quicker, I think.
And that's what I think is the thing about rendered fat versus a trimming is like I talk about processing sometimes, and rendered fat is processed versus a trimming. Like a trimming still has its normal structure. Like that is the fat as it came straight out the animal
Mm-hmm.
versus it cooking down into liquid somehow, and then you eating that. So I feel like the body, there's something that happens in the stomach or that should happen when you have a solid fat that doesn't happen either at all or as much when it's a liquid fat.
Yeah, 100%. That's absolutely. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that trigger is, but and perhaps that is the problem with having fat bombs and the fat in the coffee and stuff is that in its liquid form it doesn't quite give you the same satiety that you would get from eating like chunks of actual fat and fat
Hmm.
chips.
Yeah, like I think there's a hormone signaling or something that tells your body, that tells you up here, like, oh, I've gotten enough fat.
Hmm.
I don't need any more.
Yeah.
Because I can eat liquid fat and I feel like I get the signal late and then I end up nauseous and I get this like really nasty, I want to throw up taste right here at the corner between my throat and my jaw.
Thank you for that really graphic description so that we can all not only, picture, but imagine in
Nah,
our own personhood.
I
We
need
need
y'all
to
to
feel
feel
your
me.
pain. Yep.
Right, like it's not good. That nasty, you can drink water and it doesn't go away. Mm-mm.
Hmm. Yeah. Siebel says it could also be that there's no chewing. Enzymes in saliva actually begin the digestive process. Yeah, there's that
Makes
too.
sense.
Now, Melissa asked, should you still keep your fat consumption higher if weight loss is a goal for you? And so I used to think no, because you want to force your body to burn your body fat. But now I think yes, because what matters, and this is a little bit heretical, but what matters overall in terms of weight loss is using burning more or consuming less calories than you actually need to burn. But at the same time, you don't want to give signals to your brain that you're starving and cause your metabolism to drop. So you still want your metabolism to be high and but not providing enough calories overall. But you also need to provide a bare minimum of protein, whatever that is for you, because that number is going to be different for every person. But let's say, probably for, women who are, I don't know, 5'7" and mid, in the mid years of life, let's say 80 to 120 grams of protein. So as long as you're having that and all the fat you need, well, actually, let me take that back. I don't even know what protein number, but you have some amount of protein, and then you add
Hmm.
the fat in, and but the total calories is still going to be quite low if you're keeping it to really a bare minimum, and that overall is what it will help in the weight loss. I don't know that the macros need to change in order to bring about weight loss.
I agree. I've seen a bunch of people talk about this, and the consensus across all the learned influencers, doctors, and scientists and folks are that eating a diet that is nutritionally complete and satisfies you is going to, you're going to naturally eat at a deficit. Um, in my trying to lose weight, I never had to actually try. I never had to count. Well, while carnivore, while I was keto, while I was doing all that stuff, I did count. And at one point when I was doing CECO, calories in, calories out, yeah, I was counting. And it didn't really work as well. And I was really unhappy. Um, I think your body naturally wants to get to a good healthy weight or a healthy range of weight, we'll say. And that's going to be much lower than likely where you are now if you're trying to lose weight.
Hmm.
And you really don't need to think about how to get there. You just need to eat. And as long as you're eating the right things, you're gonna be at that level of stable insulin, stable low insulin all the
Hmm.
time. And the meals that you're eating aren't spiking your insulin. You're not going hypoglycemic. You're not having any of that stuff. And so then you're only going to be eating like twice a day, maybe once a day. And during those times in between eating, you are going to be using your own body fat to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I wish that it was as seamless and easy to lose weight for all people. So I think that there are still people who struggle, and it really is still a matter of balancing the hormones. But I do think at a certain point you do have to make sure that you're not that you're eating less calories. And it you don't generally don't have to count and pay attention to that. Your appetite will regulate that for you. But for some people, you may need to check in and pay attention to that and see how you're doing. So,
Right.
um, yeah,
And and that's why I set a range because I do agree that most people will get to a certain point and their weight loss is going to slow down tremendously.
hmm,
At that point, you're probably pretty close to whatever your goal weight is, as long as you've got a reasonable goal in mind. And at that point, yeah, you will. You might need to play with your macros. You might need to play with your eating window. There's all those strategies for getting past stalls.
yeah, yeah,
But I think when you're like pretty like what's the word, like if you're like severely overweight, I think just changing how you eat is going to do it, and you don't really have to think much about it.
hmm, yeah,
That's
um,
been what I've seen and
yeah,
what I've heard people say.
yeah. And throwing in fasting can be helpful. That can help also lower your insulin and get the hormones more balanced, but it also it reduces how the calories you're eating. I mean, if you're eating one meal a day, you're not going to eat as much as if you were eating multiple meals a day.
Hmm.
So, there is that. But keeping the fat up, I think really helps your body to recognize that there is no famine happening, and it keeps your metabolism from dropping. And,
Yep.
that's the most important part, because if you get into this race to the bottom with your body, then you're going to have to constantly be cutting your calories, which is, like
Yeah.
horrible.
It's like little do you know, you
Hmm.
can't outsmart your body. You're
Yeah.
gonna tell it like, oh no no, I want you to lose weight, so I'm gonna give you less, and it's gonna go, oh okay, we're starving
Yeah.
right now. I'm
Yeah.
not dropping anything. We need to hold on to
Yeah.
every little bit we have. And in fact, you're now tired so that you have less energy to expend. You are aware of less energy.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna win that way. It's exactly what you said. Yeah, you need that fat.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I really need to make an effort to find fat this weekend. I'm just going to do that. Because, today even I was thinking, man, I would really like some fat. That's just the bottom line. I want some. So 90% fat when they want to cut or get really lean.
Mm.
I can see that. There's no agreement about how little protein you can get by with. The World Health Organization, I think for a woman, like the bare minimum for good health is, I think, 40 grams a day. And for a guy, maybe it's 60 grams. There's a lot of people in the keto and the carnivore community that would argue that that's not nearly enough. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. I know that when I was doing keto, I was generally eating between 80 and 100 grams of protein, and I was comfortable there. So I think that I would be comfortable eating 80 to 100 grams of protein and doubling up the fat. So I'm getting 160 grams of fat.
Hmm.
So, but to get there, that's a lot. Like I've got to get a lot of, I can't do all of that as rendered. So, figuring out how to do it otherwise. I don't know. So, but you can get your
Yeah.
calories actually pretty low if you're eating like 70 grams of protein and 140 grams of fat, like I think that's like maybe 1,300 calories. It's not a
Let me
lot.
do that math real quick. You said 70 and how many of fat?
140
140?
if you're going to do 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is like 81%. That's not 90%.
Yeah, it's
I-
1540 calories.
That's how much?
1540.
The both of them together?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
more
yeah,
than,
that's pretty low.
yeah. So you could do that. Um, so I don't know. That's a thought.
Yeah, but I definitely think I guess it's rougher in cities. It's rougher in places. I think especially like East Coast cities where or especially Northeast cities where you don't have the butchers everywhere. Um, because yeah, I don't. It sucks. Like the urban environment, I feel like they seem to think that everyone wants the leanest food possible, and there's not
Yeah.
as many people who want that country food. So it's not like you can just find like uh, like fatback anywhere. I can't just go to any old butcher and ask for trimmings.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Denise L says menopause throws a wrench in the weight loss.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. You're right. 100%.
Hmm.
Um, and then uh, let's see. So Melissa's been using mostly Kerrygold. So yeah, I think that that's going to work against your goal of weight loss. Um, having that much butter, I mean, having butter itself, that can slow weight loss, and not having it in that hard form. I would, let's make a trip. We're supposed to hang out, Brooklyn strong. Let's go look for some meat. Yeah, and fat. So
Yeah.
says, Maria Emmerich says not to go lower than 80 grams of fat. Yeah, there's just no agreement about how much fat. Sorry. So wait, Maria Emmerich says not to go lower than 80 grams of fat or 80 grams of protein. If it's fat, then yes, I agree. Don't go lower than that. In fact, go much higher as you can get. Um, if it's protein, then I am not sure.
Yeah. I would definitely say with fat, it's not really, especially if you're eating it in an unrefined way. Like if it's like just the fat on a steak, I would think that it would be really. I know it feels difficult for me to overeat. Let me not make any predictions for other people, but for me, even now wanting fat, it's not so easy to just like, oh, I'm just gonna chow down and eat a
Yeah,
ton.
there's no chance that I could like ridiculously overeat fat. I could
Yeah.
ridiculously overeat dairy fat. So like I remember one time I had a pint of heavy whipping cream and I was pouring it in my immersion blender because I wanted to see if I could make whipped cream. And I, for some reason, thought that I couldn't. And then in like 2 seconds, I had a pint's worth of whipped cream. And then I was like, oh, and then I tasted it and I was like, oh, this is good. And I tasted a little more and a little more and a little more. And next thing I know, it's gone. So, and so is Arian. So I'm telling the story all by myself.
No, I hear you.
Okay.
It
We
just,
caught you mid laugh. So
uh,
it's a nice look for you.
and my YouTube crashed, so I
Yeah.
can't even see it.
Oh no.
Jeez, what is going on?
So
Oh, that's perfect. That's a great. That is. Can we just keep that for the rest of the show?
yeah, yeah. I know. I think it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, I went to town and I ate all of that dairy, all of that whipped cream. But I didn't feel full with it the same way as like I made a pork shoulder one time and I ate some of the fat first and next thing I knew I was like so nauseous and I knew I had hit my fat limit. So there's something about solid fat that comes with the meat that is filling and you just can't, you really can't overeat it. Or if you do, you're going to be in the bathroom for hours and it's fine. So,
Mm.
and you'll never do it again. Um, so yeah, that's my thought there. Now, Esther, I see that you've or you've heard that overweight people don't need to add extra fat because the body has enough fat for it to eat. It dines
Mm.
on its own fat. So that's what we were just talking about. And I think that that's kind of ends up being a kind of reductive thought. It's not for us to figure out what macros the body needs, if you're heavy versus not heavy. I think what you got to do is provide the macros that are, ketogenic or, 2-to-1 fat to protein. That seems to work best for people. And keeping the overall calories low enough is what's going to force your body to get the extra energy from your butt or your thighs or whatever it is,
Mm.
that you're going to do. So, I mean, I think that that's the better option to do it that way rather than trying to, kind of force your body to burn more body fat. And remember, there's also a limit to how much fat your body can burn, per minute or per hour. So if you're not eating enough, you might end up being too low, which sends a signal that something terrible is happening and you are in a state of like emergency. And then the body just, ramps down your metabolism. So I wouldn't go with that approach. I think what you want to do is, keep the fat up and, eat either fast more, eat less meals, and have less overall.
Yeah, that's what would make the most sense to me. This whole idea that it's just, I don't know. It's like somebody took like the littlest bit of knowledge and then tried to extrapolate from that like a whole like set of advice for
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
And like it's basically telling a person, "Oh, you're fat, so you can starve and your body will be fine." And it's like, well, yeah, you'll lose weight that way. It's not going to be in a healthy way. You're not going to be happy while you're doing it. Like if you tell people, especially on carnivore, so we're already not eating carbohydrates, and then we say you don't need extra fat. So what? You're going to eat minimum protein, and you're just supposed to live that way? Like at that point, you're that's the freaking the biggest loser diet,
Hmm.
and that's horrible for people.
Yeah. Yeah. So the most important thing is to, protect your metabolism and your hormonal balance, and that is done with fat. You have to have enough.
Right. I'm going to
Yeah,
restart it again.
please do, because my camera is about to go kaput. Oops. Okay, so um, uh, okay, so Melissa is down. We're going on a fat trip, a girls' fat trip. Fat girls. Oh no, I don't like that. Not a fat girls trip, a girl fat trip. Um, and um, I'm so glad you're back, Arian. It
Oh,
works. There we are.
glad to be appreciated. This is just the stream from hell, apparently.
Yeah. No, but this is one of our best. I think this is a great topic. We're
Isn't
hitting a
that
lot of really good stuff.
just
Yeah.
perfect?
Yeah. Um, yeah. And now Seamless says she eats 130 to 170 grams of protein. Wow. Yeah. So wherever you are, wherever you feel comfortable is fine. I mean, Ben Bickman has been out there, saying how important protein is, and says that up to, Arian froze again, up to two, uh, yeah, we could eat a crazy amount of protein before you get to a point where, there's no further benefit by eating more protein. So there really isn't an agreement about protein, but you kind of have to figure out what feels best for you. So Arian has left us again. So I think that we've covered the fat issue though. And said she needed to let go of numbers and learn taste and hunger and full signals. Yeah, that is really important. And it takes time. But I think that our minds are so indoctrinated to eat so much less fat that it's just too. You kind of have to do the numbers at first so that your brain and your eyes can really kind of get what that much fat looks like. So that's my recommendation there. Let's see. Wow, Carnivore Yogi. Hey, thanks for dropping in. Um, thanks for coming and saying hi. We're having a little technical difficulty, but it is working. Yes, yes. Um, okay, Melissa. So carnivore yogi, a calorie deficit even on carnivore tanked my T3, lowered my metabolism big time. So be patient and eat enough fat. Yeah, you got to be careful. But eating enough fat is definitely important. Um,
Where's my?
so I hear you, yay, but I can't see you.
Okay. I've got to turn on the thing that was connecting to the phone.
Okay. So let us move on to the last tip. Tip number 6. Are you all ready? Are you ready? Are you excited? Yeah. Here we go. Embrace slow cooking methods for cheaper cuts of meat. Yes. So when I really had to teach myself cooking. I didn't get a lot of those lessons from home. And so when I first decided, okay, I'm just going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out how to cook meat. And I see these big chunks of meat. I'm going to learn what they are and how you cook them. And so I started with slow cooking, and I got a slow cooker, and that was great. I actually, that was the first time that I was like, okay, maybe I can cook, and I kind of figured it out. And I had looked at doing braising in the oven, but it, required so much oven time that I was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. But how about you, Arian? Have you tried some of those kind of cooking methods?
Uh, I think I've done braising maybe
Mhm.
once. Uh, it was a long time ago. Like, I think because I was following a recipe, it was just way more work than I felt like doing. Which you'll
Uh-huh.
see is a is a theme with me. Um, some things are more work than I feel like doing, and then I make faces when I think about them. So,
Well,
yeah,
I don't
braising.
think it's weird to want more value for less effort. I think this is what we all as humans want. So
Right.
it's
So,
not weird.
okay, good, good. Thank you. Because yeah, sometimes it feels like all I do is talk about stuff that I don't feel like doing because
Hmm.
I don't want to. but that's really how it is. Like the braising, it's like making all this liquid. Oh, you know what I didn't like? So it was like I think I used like sherry or something, and whatever other stuff were supposed to go into the liquid, and it all the food tasted pretty good, but it was a good amount of work, and then I had all this extra liquid afterwards. And it's like, well, what am I going to do with that? Because I don't want to throw it away, but I don't have another use for it. And I think now, if I were thinking, I would just say, all right, well, the next time I make that kind of meat, like I'm just going to use the same liquid.
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna eat it with the liquid, and then eventually that amount will go down to the point that now I don't have anymore because I've been using it. And probably at the end, it tastes really good because it's got all this meat flavor from like six
Hmm.
different roasts in it.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what I've done. So whatever liquid is left over that I don't eat, I put in the freezer, and the next time I cook a chunk of meat, I just take that liquid and I use that again and again and again. So, see, there we go. Um, so
It's only right,
it's your turn now.
right?
Um, let's see. Is it going to let me do this? No, it's not. So I would suggest that, yeah, when you cook, you just keep saving this stuff because it becomes more delicious and more full of histamines, which is delightful.
And that's what we want. No, no, because you're freezing it, so the histamines aren't growing the whole time.
Yeah, but the longer it exists, the more they're growing. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's
for
flavor.
the time it's thawed.
It's flavor. This is
Yeah,
what gives it its texture and flavor.
need those good histamines.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, yeah, so the definitely slow cooking I got into. I did like whole chicken slow cooked. Comes out really good and tender. It's an easy, easy way to do a whole chicken. Um, and did I slow cook anything? Just plain old beef roast, pork roast. Like I found that I liked slow cooking a lot of roasts better than cooking them in the oven. I think because at the time I didn't know to cover the meat the whole time, so they ended up really dry.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, that was my first mistake with the brisket.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, cover it up, cover it up. But I loved the slow cooker because I could just throw everything in the morning and I could go and I just didn't have to think anymore. And when I came home, there was a hot, delicious meal waiting for me.
Hmm.
So when I was keto, that's when I started cooking chuck roasts, and I would make a dish called ropa vieja, which is it's like called old rags. It's basically like a Spanish style beef stew,
Okay.
and so it had tomato base, the chuck roast, bell peppers. It called for olives, but I hate olives, so I used capers and and bay leaves and salt and pepper. And it was like the most delicious meal. Like I could eat that day in, day out for weeks. And I did. So,
That
you
sounds
know,
really good, actually.
yeah, yeah. So not carnivore, but still, cooking a chuck roast that way is a great option.
Hmm.
So, I highly recommend a slow cooker. But now I've moved on to the pressure cooker, which I love because it's so much faster. So
Yeah.
that's an option too.
Yeah. So now, since I don't have an air fryer, although I'm really thinking about getting one, because I think
Why
I
don't you
realized
have an
today
air
that,
fryer?
well,
You're the one who talks about ease and how quickly and easy things go. Like,
don't
why
shame
don't you
me.
have an air fryer? You have
Don't
a
shame me
job.
right
It's
now.
not that expensive. You just missed Prime Day. You could have gotten the Ninja for, I don't know, I'm sure a cheaper price.
I mean, they're already cheap enough, and now I'm seeing commercials for the foodie, and that's the one that's like it's like flat, so it looks like a toaster oven. And I'm like, oh, oof, I really might think about that. Um, and especially now. So for the longest time, I didn't see a need for an air fryer. I already had a thing that could cook very quickly, my
Hmm.
Instapot. So every time I do a roast or something, it's going in the Instapot. And then like steaks and stuff, I always did those either. I think I was searing and then finishing in the oven, and then I started reverse searing, and then lately I've just been cooking it on the stove the whole time, which is messy but comes out for a really good steak. Um,
Mm. Yeah,
like good and tender on the inside.
yeah. I
But
have not
now,
mastered the steak.
it's still I could be better. I feel like every day I'm either forgetting how to make steak or getting better at it, but
I
I'm
haven't
never.
gotten better. It seems like I get worse every single time. I mean, honestly, I just,
Oh,
I have not mastered the steak.
hey eyebrows.
Oh, oops.
Hey.
Little too zoomed in. There we go. All right. Okay. There we go. Um, so yes, I highly recommend getting an air fryer. But for the cheaper cuts of meat, that's the one where you need the wet cooking methods and the slow cooker or the pressure cooker. And I
Yeah.
like the pressure cooker too, because you can take a frozen piece of meat and put it in there and it can handle it just fine. So that's nice as well.
Yeah. So, what I feel like I now need is, well, I've got the stove, I've got the cast iron skillet, so all that's great. Um, I would want the air fryer for things like dehydrating and for what's the other piece? Dehydrating and for cooking things like meatballs.
Hmm.
Like I want to do something fast and but I want it to have that like fast in the oven taste, not fast in the pressure cooker because there's enough moisture in meatballs.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
need
I
them
think that's a
like
good point.
stay moisture.
I do get tired of wet meat. So that is a fair point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, the basically any roast I can throw it into the pressure cooker and I do about 25 minutes a pound. I think the instructions tell you 20 to 25, and I just always go on the high end of that because I want my meat to be tender. And the last one I did was that brisket, and it came out perfect.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, the brisket, I couldn't speak highly enough about it. Perfect.
Yeah.
So what are you laughing about? What are you I'm behind in the chat here.
Oh, and see, I've just got it at the bottom, and C Bliss is being. Well, it's after 9.
Yeah, I guess it is time. So, um, okay, so I see Carnivore Yogi is 85/15 for macros, fat to protein. Yeah, that's up there. That's work though, definitely to get that level of fat. I just gotta go out and look for some fat and buy it. Um, you know,
And you
I
you
don't know.
kind of had it when you were doing the I was gonna say sucrose. Definitely not that suet.
Suet. Suet
Like,
doesn't work that well because it renders so much. Beef fat trimmings don't render so much.
mm,
And because that still leaves you with the liquid fat.
so you need a way that you can buy trimmings, and
Yeah.
if not from a place close by, there's got to be somebody that just sells the trimmings. There's got to be someone that you could just order trimmings from,
I don't know. White Oak Pastures was the only place I was ever able to order
and they're
trimmings.
always out, right?
Well, since the current, bad times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, there's got to be a place. Like I feel like I'm gonna make that my project now to find. You and Melissa are the two New York carnivores I know of. There's got to be ways to do it.
Oh, seedless and my wet meat.
Yep, that's what it was.
Seedless, you have been behaving just fine up until that line. Yeah.
it, I feel like part of it is because we're carnivores talking about carnivore that it's like so hard to not just say meat and not think about the context that or to say it's hard to say meat around only the correct words. Like
God.
there's just always going to be a time where like I walked right into that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
Um,
so I still think though, back to roasts and the slow cooking and stuff. I don't think any amount of special cooking is going to make the really lean roast taste a lot better. Like they cannot taste bad, but they're not going to get good. I've had I've had rare um, round roast
mhm.
with gravy. It still wasn't good, but it was edible.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
Well, what I've done with the Instant Pot is cook a lean cut of beef and add suet, or if I had beef fat trimmings, I would add that, but I would add suet to it. So, love that rhyme. So, but at the end of it,
bars.
it's in a sauce that's very fatty, and then I would simmer the sauce that's left in the pot so it got to be very thick and gelatinous, and so it really
Hmm.
makes a delicious sauce, and that helps a lot too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that definitely helps. But it's not like, oh, all of a sudden this is excellent now.
Now I'm reading the chat. Cardi who? Be good, Cardi who? So you like meat, huh? Oh my God, we're carnivores. We have to be able to say meat without laughing and giggling like children.
uh,
Okay. Yeah.
so carnivore yogi, who by the way appreciate you coming on, um, says Slanker grass fed has amazing suet and trimmings.
Oh, she said don't don't tell everybody or else they'll sell out. That's what happened to me. I ordered this lard on Etsy and I mean not lard, I ordered tallow and I really really liked it. It was great. So I took a picture, I posted it on Instagram and then it sold out. So I wrote the
Mm.
guy later that day and I was like, "Hey, I posted this." And he was like, "I know. I'm sold out now."
They took
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And I don't think, and I looked afterwards, I like looked at his site and it turns out he's like, he works full time. This is just like his hobby. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know if he's gonna make any more before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Let's
um,
see. Yeah, I found one place that seems like they might do it, but I don't know if they have any right now. That's the other thing too. Like,
I mean, there's got to be fat everywhere all the time. Like everywhere there's a piece of meat, there was a piece of fat attached to it. So when people
hmm
say, I don't we don't really have any now. It's like, well, what are you doing with it? Where is it? Where did it go? Like,
yeah,
what'd you do with what you cut off this morning?
and that's why I had the idea when we were talking about the whole beef. Like, part of the reason that the live weight of the whole beef is so much bigger than what you actually receive is that they're cutting all that fat off, all those bones, and they're doing whatever with them. And I imagine they're not like using all of that, it probably a lot of it gets thrown away. So I'm wondering if you can call one of those butchers and say, all right, so the next time you guys sell a whole beef or whatever, the next time you butcher a cow, you're going to throw some of that fat away. Just give it all to me. Or even I'll buy it. Because, like,
I
I
love that
think
expression on your face. Give it
oh,
all to me.
all of it, give it here. Like, because
Give it to
you're
me.
not going to use it. And I was having this thought a few weeks ago. Like, people were complaining about the price of buying beef fat, which I understand.
Hmm.
It should not. If you were going to throw it away anyway, then you should just give it to me. You should not charge me for it. That sucks. But capitalism is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but if they sell it to you, even if they sell it to you for about the same price as meat, it's actually more valuable than meat.
It
I
is.
think I'd be okay. I wouldn't be happy because I know I should be able to get it cheaper. But as far as just like, um, nah, I lost the wording, but I would still do it.
You're absolutely right. I 100% agree with you. And I remember like probably the best meal I ever had was I had the beef fat trimmings. I fried them up. I figured out how to cook them and fried them up. Ate that, and then I don't think I've ever been so full in my life and
Mhm.
satisfied for such a long period of time. And then I ate a little bit of I think I had steak and but man, that was like coasting for hours,
Yep.
so full. But I never get that level of satisfaction because I can't get solid meat, solid fat.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this is going to be a thing. I'm going to look for this because there's got to be places.
Yeah, please do, please do. Help me,
I'm going
help
I'm
me,
to find y'all some
help me,
fat.
people. Yes, find us fat. Um, So yeah, see, Bliss says beef fat trimmings are magical. I agree, and suet. I just don't really. It's just not working for me. Um, Raw is not good. Cooked it just renders too much, and yeah. So the tallow that I got, it is delicious. It smells, tastes, and looks wonderful. My skin has never been so soft and supple, so
Mm.
everything about it I love, but it's just not working for me food wise. Like I need more fat. And I don't know. I mean, I've been doing okay with fresh pork. So, pork, I feel like for whatever reason, they don't trim pork.
Not
So
nearly as much. No.
I don't understand that at all. But yeah, so pork, you can find regular pork in the grocery store with thick amounts of fat.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wonder why that is.
yeah,
But yeah, you're right. And even so, here's what's frustrating for me. And I guess it's just how people cook. But I can go in probably, I can think of 3 stores right now within 5 minutes of me that I can go to and find packages of pork fat. It's going to be like there's salt pork and there's going to be fat bag. And the fat bag does not have all the salt on it. The salt pork does. Salt pork is disgusting. Don't be like me. I tried to buy salt pork and cook it. Oh, it's disgusting. It's way too salty. And even if you rinse it and soak it, it's still too salty. But why is it so easy to find pork fat and so hard to find beef fat? Like, why did no one ever get the idea that, oh, the same way we make country pork, we can make country beef and people can season their grains with that? Because that's why all that pork stuff exists. Because people season their vegetables with it.
yeah. And I wanted to thank Denise for your super chat or your super sticker and Carnivore Yogi. Good night. Thanks for coming by and thank you for the super chat. That was really generous of you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know why no one would do that. And we I don't know. I don't know what to do. But yes, please look for the fat. Find a fat source for us, and we will pay the money. So, but that is a way to, like we said, substituting the fat for protein can really be helpful too in dealing with dealing with the cost, but not if you're going to do that with butter. Butter is very expensive, and per pound, it's I for me, like if I buy the butter that I get, it would be like $8 a pound. So
Mm.
that's not inexpensive.
Sheesh, 8 a pound.
Hmm.
See, you getting that good butter, that fancy butter,
Wow.
pinky up butter.
Look, there there's just sometimes you need quality taste. I don't know.
Mm. Hmm. I
Yeah.
wouldn't know anything about it. I, I eat store brand butter. I make it into store brand ghee. Um, I don't think I've ever even had Kerrygold before. I feel like I should try some just to see if what all the hype is about.
And- yeah. I mean, it tastes like butter. It's good, but I actually I get President butter. That's the French one. Kerrygold, they did admit finally that they don't know if all of the milk they get is grass fed. And the whole
Really?
point of grass fed, the whole point of Kerrygold is that it's grass fed. That's why people started eating it. And if they
Hmm.
now can't confirm that they're using grass fed, milk, then what's the point?
Right. Okay. Yep. Well, that kills that idea.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Um,
Oh, you know what though? We didn't talk about gravy.
hmm
We
What
skipped
about
over that.
gravy?
So, just if you're trying to deal with the rendered fat and you don't know what you can do with it, or especially if you have a hard time tolerating too much of it, we've all been talking about it a lot in our Zooms and in the various people posting it on Instagram. But like, just make a gravy out of it. Take
Hmm.
that fat, let it cool down some, and whip it up. Sometimes with some broth, or I think normally people use broth, right?
Or nothing, just
Okay.
it by itself. Yeah. I don't know.
So,
Somehow I can't figure out the texture of it. So sometimes it comes out like mayo for me. Sometimes it's just, like a more of an aioli, and sometimes it's just liquid. I don't know.
uh,
Some people will add an egg yolk to help emulsify it, and that gets you towards that mayo, that to the mayo texture faster.
mm, that
Um,
makes sense.
Yeah, but Seedless is again, well, both Virginia and Seedless I've seen make some really good sauce, so they may need to step in here. And in terms of making those fat fries, yeah, that's frying up the beef fat trimmings, or the fat trimmings, and that is delicious. But I frequently burn these things as well. So I need lessons because I think I've been schooled that I just put the flame up too high and I need to put it low and be patient. So that's what I will do next time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When I do them by themselves, I have the pan about medium lowish,
Hmm.
and I'm also flipping them kind of often because I don't want any spot to cook too much.
Hmm.
But also, I'm not really. I'll take it a little soft versus. Okay, yep. Walked into that too. My bad. So I don't
Oh.
I don't mind them not being so crispy.
Okay.
So this is the most mature podcast that anyone has ever, well, not podcast, YouTube show that anyone has ever seen. This is what we do here. We're extremely mature the whole time.
Oh, Wing Six Fit, thank you. I really appreciate the super chat and have a
Right.
great night.
Even in the midst of this nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. So
My
on that,
point is, I don't think they need to be so crispy to be good.
yeah, yeah, sure.
But yeah, lower heat, flip them around some.
And that can actually work better in the air fryer than in the
Oh
pan.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Have you tried the air fryer for yours?
So I haven't had beef fat trimmings since before I had an air fryer. So, but the reason why I cook my steak, I cut it up into little squares and cook it in the air fryer is because it allows more of the surface area of the steak to get crispy, the fat to get crispy. So the
Mm,
thing I hate in a ribeye is that, that middle line of thick fat that's in it, like it doesn't get crispy enough for me. It's too soft because too much of it is inside the steak, and only the edges that are actually getting fried are are getting browned. But when I cut it up into squares, more of that is exposed to the air and the heat, and so
mm,
more of it gets to that crispy texture that I like. So, so I feel like if I bought beef fat trimmings, it would be all of what I like. If I cut it into little, squares or little chunks, it would be like I could live on that alone. Like
yeah,
I seriously could eat a bowl of that and be done with it.
yeah. Like, and that's exactly what I do. Like, I've had some days, and it really does not take a lot to be filling.
Yeah.
Um, when it's just the fat, and especially so the trimmings I get from the market will have like little bits of lean on them too. So I am getting some lean along with them. I can eat like three or four of those, and um, I do exactly that. I kind of cube them as much as they're able to be cubed because normally they're getting cut off in slices.
Right.
But yeah, cut them into little chunks, and I can eat. It doesn't even seem like that much. I should weigh it one day and
Hmm.
see how much it actually is, but it's way less than if I was eating a more protein heavy meal.
Hmm.
Why
Yeah.
would you don't highlight her saying that?
Okay. Hi, A Day.
No, no, the one before that, Sea Bliss.
I didn't. I didn't. I skipped
Oh,
it.
so YouTube does that for you, but then you can also choose what to highlight.
Yeah, I what I have up on the screen is different from what you'll see in I don't put everything on the screen.
Hmm.
So anyway, so we have had a great little talk tonight. We have given you lots of great ideas. And and I even have come away with some ideas and a renewed effort in finding fat. Because you know what earlier today I ate my one meal a day, and then I still felt like I was hungry because I didn't eat as much as I needed to. And then I just had a yen. I decided to just go and buy a steak. And I think it was because I really wanted the chunks of fat.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finished. So I had two hamburgers first, and then I cooked up the rest of them for tomorrow, and ended up making another five.
Hmm.
And when I was done, I said, "Yeah, I've been trying to hold it, but no, I'm just hungry." So I went and ate the other one.
Hmm.
And I still I feel like that's still one meal. It was just within an eating window as opposed to one meal in one sitting, like within a half
Yeah.
hour or so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I find that when I'm still hungry, it's never for more protein.
Hmm.
It's always for more fat.
Yeah. But the protein is what's more convenient to have. Like, I have eaten slices of butter, and it does taste good, but it's not the same in
Hmm.
terms of the satisfaction.
No, there's something about the fat being in the natural structure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so that being said, I'm going to make that effort, you know, before the sun sets tomorrow. I am going to have made a plan for how I'm going to get some of those fats. Thank
Hmm.
you, Arian. You're going to
Yeah,
scour the country and see where I can order.
it did. I've got the search up right now.
Yeah, there's got to be a place.
There's got to be somebody, even if it's not. I think what we don't care about it being grass fed. We just need the trimmings.
Yeah, yeah,
There's got to be somebody.
yeah. Maybe I just need to start calling.
And
Hmm.
I wonder for you if you'll just need to like make a trip you really don't want to make, like out of the city to a butcher still in the area but further away.
Well, has anybody ever had luck getting this stuff at Costco?
Hmm, that's a question.
Anybody in the chat, anybody who shops at Costco, have any of you had any luck? And hey, Ivy, I don't think I said hi. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it tonight. Um, so if anybody has, let me know if that is something I should try to go to, because you know, I had resisted going to Costco, but
Oh, why?
I don't know. I mean, it's like a whole big thing and it seems so suburban, but it's ridiculous. I should go.
Let me find out. You looking down your nose at the
I'm
suburbs.
not looking down, not at all looking down. It's just not something, like I think about doing because I don't live anywhere near those kinds of places and I don't have a car anymore either. So like getting around is, I mean, what am I going to do? Carry 50 pounds of meat home? And they
Hmm.
don't even give us grocery bags anymore. So you have to bring your own or pay for like a cloth bag. And these cloth bags they make now are so cheap that they don't hold together, or paper bags.
Hmm. Yeah, the cloth bags I have are decent. Yeah, Sam's Club is the same way. They don't give you bags.
No, they passed a law in New York City, so now no bags nowhere.
Oh.
You have to pay, and there's no plastic bags. Period.
Hmm.
So yeah. So on a rainy day, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So Costco and decent totes might be the idea. Decent tote bags.
a car. I just don't want to drag 50 pounds of whatever anywhere. But Sievel's put up a link. Let's, we'll have to follow through on that.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah. But okay, so but we should wrap this up now. It's now 9:30. Oh my God, we have been on this. This is a long one. So thank you guys for holding strong and staying to the end. I really appreciate it. You guys are super super fans, and you can definitely say you were here from the beginning and you you stayed strong with us even when we floundered with all kinds of technical difficulties.
Hmm.
Um, uh, so anyway, so Seabliss says, oh, Indiana. So wait, is Ian Indiana or Indi?
It's Indiana.
No, I don't know if I know anybody out there. Uh,
But they're gonna pick it up for you and ship it.
yeah.
That's an
Uh,
idea.
yeah.
But
Um, okay. So, it is time to wrap this up. So thank you,
Right.
everybody. Have a great night, and I hope you found some, ways to keep your costs down. And we will be back on Tuesday. But um, November 5th, that's next Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So next Thursday we have the fasting doc coming. So the fasting doc from Instagram is going to be coming to talk to us. So definitely be here. I will put that in the announcement in the newsletter, so you'll all get a reminder. But for sure, you want to make sure that you come because she is awesome. She gave a lot of really great information when she came before, and she's really going to be a great addition here. So I encourage you all, make sure you're here, mark your calendars, and we'll see you
Nice.
next week. All right. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.